Doom, 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 pull up a chair, crack open a beer. It's time for the crime news with Shevsky. Guys, this is Crime News. Thank you for tuning in. This is true crime comedy. I'm John Shevsky. I'm your host. What's going to happen today is 20 shocking Valentine's Day crimes committed by lovers. I'm going to read all of them. It's from ranker.com. I have no idea about this website. Jacob Shelton. I like his name because I have a friend whose last name is Shelton, so I'm going to trust this motherfucking article. Let's get started. Happy Valentine's Day to everyone. I hope you had a blast. A day of celebrating love in general. It's not just about relationships, guys. It's about just love in general, even self-love. Okay, self-respect, self-love. You don't have to have a partner to be worthy on Valentine's Day. You don't have to do anything. You can just love yourself. Give yourself a Valentine's, which is what I call jacking off in the shower while surrounded by rose petals. That's actually not what I call it. That's what the people of the internet call it. And I just made that whole thing up. So I tried to come up with a really weird thing, and then I blamed it on an entire population of people online. I don't know, guys. What? Was that a crime? Guys, I hope you had a great Valentine's Day. I hope you, whatever you did, whoever you spent it with, whether it was with somebody or by yourself or however you did it, I hope it was somewhat of a joyous occasion or maybe a reflecting occasion where you just sat there and you said, you know what? I'm just thankful to love myself. Maybe you didn't feel any love yesterday. Maybe you were stressed out or depressed or something like that. I'm just glad you made it through it and you're here with me today. Hey, you know what I always say about Valentine's Day? Well, if you know, then I don't have to say it. Guys, let's just say you forget what to say to people on Valentine's Day. You need insurance for that, okay? You need to be able to make up for that loss, okay? I recommend, and so does Rich Slayton, who right now is taking care of a crying baby probably, or crying like a baby himself, something like that. We call C3 Risk and Insurance Services. That's right. Call Joe Erle at C3 Risk and Insurance Services. You know the number. You know the website. Get a hold of Joe Erle. Just Google C3 Risk and Insurance Services, right? C3 Risk and Insurance Services. Tell Joe Erle what's going on. He will find you a policy for anything you need insurance for in your life. He's the best. It's great. Tell him Shevsky sent you. He loves me. Guys, if you get a policy from Joe Erle, you get $25 to Amazon, which you could pass off as the next gift for next Valentine's Day. I almost said Halentine's Day, which seems like a 2001 Space Odyssey themed holiday, Halentine's Day, where you just give cards to robots and tell them how much you love them. I don't know. Either way, call up Joe Erle, let him know how you feels, and he will get you an insurance policy, and you'll get $25 to Amazon, which is just a great company. Have you heard how they treat their employees? They put them in these giant warehouses and they help them sweat the toxins out because they don't put air conditioning in the warehouses. I mean, what else could you ask for, right? Billionaires not giving their employees health care, but giving the rest of the world great service and low-priced products. I mean, folks, I'm into it. That was sarcasm. I think we could do better, but I do love Amazon's the way they treat us as customers. If you happen to be working in one of those sweat lodges that they call warehouses for Amazon and you pass away, what would you want your relatives to do with your body? Would you want them to bury you underground so you get eaten by worms? Would you want them to bury you at sea? Can they even afford that? Would you want them to send them to Johnny Depp and have Johnny Depp spend $2 million constructing a rocket to shoot you up into the atmosphere and explode? Would that be something that you would like to do with your ashes? Well, great. That shit's already been done. But you know what hasn't been done? You know what's never been done? Be the first person to send your ashes to D. Ketelson at a piece that remains. You want to break records? You want to be the first? That's the way to do it. D has never taken ashes and put them into a painting, but today is the day. She wants to do it today. This is her first one. Okay, I'm exaggerating a little bit. She does them all the time. Okay, I exaggerated a lot. Dee is a specialist at taking ashes and putting them into paintings and putting them into art and preserving your loved ones forever. So if you die, put that in your will that you want that done to you. It's so cool. It is so cool. She makes gorgeous paintings. It's so rad. You hang up the painting. It's a conversation piece. People come over. They go like, that's a beautiful painting. You're like, it was a beautiful person. It's just a great thing that she does, and she's super cool, and we love her, and she's a big supporter of the podcast. She's a big sponsor of the podcast, and I said it like a time. She's a big sponsor of the podcast. Hit up D. Ketelson at A Piece That Remains, a PEACE thatremains.com, and I think you can also say a PIECE, or however you spell the other way to spell peace, thatremains.com. Either way, you're going to find D. Ketelson. Google her. It's so easy to like just tell people, like, just Google it, and they will find, like, you're going to find D. Hit her up. Guys, also, if you are wondering what the heck is going on with Fantasy House, John, in the last episode, you told me to go download it. I tried to find it and I couldn't find it. Well, I had some issues on iTunes and I'm still waiting their approval. Their approval process takes way longer than I thought. Slayton didn't warn me. I've never done this before. And so Fantasy House will be coming out soon. I'm going to let you guys know the second it comes out. Everybody's been hitting me up. What happened to Fantasy House? Why'd you tell me this? Why'd you lead me down that dark alley to show me Fantasy House? And then I just kept walking through a dark alley and there was no Fantasy House that popped out. There was just a guy peeing by a dumpster. I think he was peeing. Well, let's stop messing around. Let's do the stories. Am I right? Story number 1. Our first story, sweetheart thieves share a smooch on camera. That's such a cute title right there. They share a smooch on camera. That's so romantic. We're thieves. We might get caught. We might have criminal records. In 2015, a couple of jewel thieves took a break from robbing a store of 213 pounds in order to make out. Unfortunately, they were caught on camera in the store's CCTV. The store owner said of the young lovers, quote, "They were amateurs because apart from the cash, they did not take anything of value. There were cameras and laptop computers and smartphones, and they left it all behind because they were so busy kissing." That's the end of the story, folks. I don't understand how that is. That's it. Wow. So far, Jacob Shelton, I approve of your brevity, but I'm wondering if there's enough details in these stories. Can I just say, this couple didn't even end up stealing anything. So they probably still got in trouble for, oh, okay. They did take cash. Never mind. They took cash, but they just kissed. That's pretty sweet. I mean, if I was the judge, I'd be like, guilty of being a cute couple of thieves. I sentence you to a relationship. I'm sure they're going to cheat on each other, right? If you're a criminal, you're naturally probably going to cheat on your partner. Is that right? I don't want to offend any criminals that are listening. They're like, hey, I'm faithful. I've been in the penitentiary for 20 years and I've never cheated on my wife who's free. I don't know if she's cheating though. Our next story, I love you and I'm going to rob your bank. In order to buy his girlfriend an engagement ring, Ramsey Fakhouri tried to rob the Bradford National Bank. Natural Bank? There's no such thing as a natural bank, okay? The bank is not natural. There's nothing natural about money, okay? What we're supposed to be doing is being hunter-gatherers like most smart indigenous people, spending much time with our families, with our friends, making love, swimming in the rivers, eating deer, taking ayahuasca. But instead we keep our money in a bank and I have to take showers every fucking day. Back to the story. Because he was a romantic, he took part in the robbery on Valentine's Day. He snagged nearly $26,000 from a bank worker who was stocking an ATM outside the branch. Well, that's your fault, Mr. Bank Worker. You want to stock $26,000? Do it from inside the branch. That's my tip to the bank workers. Not that I have any right to tell them how they should do anything. I'm just a lowly podcaster / real estate agent / comedian. Our next story, the great Subway sandwich robbery. Why would you rob Subway? Rob Jimmy John's or what's the other place that's really good? There's Jimmy John's and there's Jersey Mike's. Those are way better sandwiches. Am I right? I'm right. I'm very open-minded, and food is subjective, but Subway is shit with bread around it. On Valentine's Day 2015, they're never going to be a sponsor now, are they? What if Subway wanted to sponsor Crime News, and now they don't? And never mind. Subway, you're great. The $5 footlong, you're making it so, a lot of local hobos are able to still eat. On Valentine's Day 2015, a couple of robbers held up a Subway sandwich shop, shoving an employee into a room at gunpoint before emptying a cash register, rummaging through an employee's pockets, and taking off into the night. That's the end of that article, or not that article, that segment of the article. We're moving on to the next one. That's just it. This guy, he makes very short. I actually like it. These are very brief. This is probably great for a podcast episode for you guys. Raise your hand and say, sorry, Mom, if you agree. Unless you're driving. No, actually, you could raise one hand while you're driving and say, sorry, Mom. Do you ever talk to yourself while you're driving? I'm talking to myself right now into a microphone. Folks, let's get back to this podcast. Please try to rob a florist. Shame on them. In Huntsville, Alabama, a pair of robbing Romeos held up a heart-filled florist. They tied up 2 employees in the back room and were heartbroken when they discovered that the florist had no money in the safe. Maybe they should have looked into how much money florists make and realized that was not the right place to rob. Our next story, man aggressively robs a bank as if there was any other way. Wow, a lot of humor in these titles. On the morning of Valentine's Day 2014, a guy rushed into Citizens Bank in Norwich, Connecticut, and freaked everyone out before making off with a massive sum of money. He was later picked up by the cops and held on $500,000 bail. Very sweet Valentine's Day robbery. It doesn't even say what he was going to do with the money. What if he was going to do something romantic with the money? That could have been included in the article. Just saying. Our next story, man takes cab driver for a Valentine's ride. Early on Valentine's Day morning 2015, a taxi driver received a not so sweet gift. Let's take that over. I was reading too fast and looking at the picture while trying to read. That came out as a disaster. Sorry, Slayton. Shame on me. Go on with your story, Shevsky. You got it. Early on Valentine's Day morning 2015, a taxi driver received a not-so-sweet gift. You mean he didn't get chocolates? When the man he picked up pulled out a 9mm and asked, quote, "Can I pay with this?" unquote. The taxi driver gave the man his Samsung tablet and took off to drive another day. Smart move, taxi driver. That was just this is just related to the date of Valentine's Day. I thought this was going to be like a lot more romantic stuff. Here's another one. Valentine's Day kidnapping goes all wrong. Over in merry old England, 2 buddies, Tom Wood and Brett Ireson. Merry old England. Do you guys call it that? Claire? Ben? Do you guys call it merry old England? Over in merry old England, yes. Tom Wood and Brett Ireson kidnapped a man named Ian Virgo and tried to beat him to death. Oh my God, this is a little bit beyond crime news style stories. I prefer stories where they try to rob him to brokenness or con artist him to brokenness or, do something sillier, but beat him close to death. Okay, this has got morbid. Virgo suffered severe bruising and a slash wounds to his arm and leg. He was then repeatedly beaten while being taken from his house and put in a kidnapper's car. Is that the end of the freaking story? I might have to tell this guy that wrote the Ranker article. This is a little too brief. You're not really telling us what's going on. Next story. Crime ring targets Victoria's Secret. What are they targeting at Victoria's Secret? In St. Petersburg, Florida. Oh, where's my grandma? Grandma, this is in Florida. Of course, awful things are happening here. That's where awful things go to happen. St. Petersburg, Florida. In St. Petersburg, Florida, a group of thieves made off with thousands of dollars in Victoria's Secret merchandise, leaving hundreds of Floridians without anything to wear during the second most romantic night of the year. The first, obviously, being the final night of spring break. Wow, there's comedy in these articles. I don't even have to do my job here. Am I right, folks? Our next story, man steals roses for girlfriend. Oh, this is a sweet one. This is the kind of crime news stories I'm talking about. In Dublin, Ireland, Bernard Conway, a very drunk man, was caught stealing roses from an Aldi. I didn't even know Aldi sold roses. I thought Aldi sold purses and shoes made out of fake leather. He also stole a cashmere throw and a backpack in the same incident, but the backpack probably wasn't for his girlfriend. It was a cute story. The Valentine's purse snatcher, making what was probably her worst Valentine's Day ever. A woman was waiting for the bus in Glendora, California. Ooh, this close to home. What year was this in? Because if this just happened, we gotta catch this guy. When a purse snatcher ran by, grabbed her, and drug her along the sidewalk for 30 feet before her purse strapped broke, freeing her. Thank God she was free from this crazy guy who stole the purse. You know, you can replace purses. You can't replace people unless you own a corporation. So I'm glad that this guy only made off with her purse. The Valentine's Bandit really irritates the FBI. One man dubbed the Valentine's Bandit became the ire of the FBI, man. And the police in San Mateo County after he robbed 2 banks on the peninsula and whole different bank in Burlingame, California. Where is Burlingame? I don't know, but it doesn't matter. This is a story that I gotta read, man. Did the FBI even consider whether he was robbing all those banks in the name of love? This article is shit, and I apologize to the crime listeners. Holy shit, man. Our next story, BDSM role-playing couple arrested on Valentine's Day. Ooh, they look very white trash, and I would love to see an amateur video on Pornhub of them doing this kind of BDSM roleplay. Raise your hand and say, sorry, Mom, if you're with me. A swinging couple from Poland. A swinging... What? There we go. My internet got weird for a second there. A swinging couple from Portland, Oregon ended up in the pokey after their very intense roleplay ended up getting them in big trouble. When cops arrived on the scene responding to calls about a woman bound in the back of a car, they found a 26-year-old Stephanie Morgan Pelsner naked and bound, just as callers claimed. She was able to confirm that she and her boyfriend had simply been roleplaying, but nevertheless they were arrested and charged with disorderly conduct. Yeah, it's a whole other level of roleplay. Like what consenting adults do in their bedroom is their decision, in my opinion. As a very liberal human being, I respect you, and I'm not going to try to analyze your psychology publicly. I'm just going to let you do what you want as long as you're both consenting. But things get kind of weird when you tie someone up in a car, even if you do have some weird, creepy fantasy. You know, go for it. Do your weird fantasy. I'm not going to judge you on it. You're allowed to have fantasy time if you're an adult. However, tying someone up in a car publicly makes it so that the rest of us who are trying to make sure that no one's actually getting tied up and kidnapped or worse in a car are going to call the cops. So, yeah, this crossed the border of role-playing into the reality of the... Like, you can role-play by yourself. You can't role-play in public. That's the whole thing with public, is that, like, you know, there's certain rules we abide by so that, you know, we can have a functioning society, folks. So I'm glad you guys are really into your crazy roleplay, but yeah, busted. I don't know if I would like totally arrest them if I was a cop. I'd probably like question them for a while, maybe give them a warning ticket or something like that. But listen, if you're a Portland cop, you're probably so tired of having to deal with people's Portland style problems. You know, like listen, I've never been to Portlandia, but I'm going to make a judgment right now. I think Portlandia is just like the show Portlandia. Because the people that I know that are from there are like, yeah, it's exactly like the show Portlandia. No one's ever defended Portland to me. You know, like people have defended Florida. People have been like, Shesky, I know Florida seems crazy. And a lot of it is. But there's some really great people in Florida. And I'm like, listen, I've been to Disney World. I've been to the Waffle House. I've been to the Swamplands. I love Florida. I'm just making fun of it. And I get it. But when I talk about Portland, everyone I know that's moved here from Portland, that's in SoCal from Portland, is like, yeah, it's just like Portlandia. No one's ever stopped me and be like, Shesky, you don't understand. They're embellishing. It's a TV show. They're, you know, turning up the saturation on the Photoshop of that place, if you know what I'm saying. No one's ever done that for Portland. My cousin moved up there. She moved back. How was Portland? It rained a lot, and it was just like Portlandia, except for you couldn't turn Portlandia off and then put South Park on. You just had to watch Portlandia all day in 3D. I guess I'm defending the Portland cop. For all I know, he could be a wonderful police officer in Portland, or he could be an awful... I don't never met the guy. I'm just reading articles. Why are you guys screaming at me? Crime fans, why? Why? Our next story, inmate attempts Valentine's escape. A Phoenix inmate escaped from prison by climbing 2 walls and crawling through razor wire in order to meet his sweetheart for a romantic Valentine's Day. This is what I'm talking about. These are the stories that I got excited about for Valentine's Day. This is the kind of shit that crime news lives for. A Phoenix man, Arizona, okay, the Florida of the West, right? He's romantic. He's got a goatee, a shaved head, clearly a Peckerwood dude just trying to meet his Aryan bride for a little rendezvous. Do you think they yell Sieg Heil when they come? That would be weird, right? Be funny too. You ever film two Nazis having sex? Me neither, but I bet they would do that. And then they would kill me afterwards. They'd be like, "You're a filmmaker?" I'd be like, "Kind of." And they'd be like, "You're a Jew then?" And I'd be like, "Yep." They'd be like, "Well, you run the World Bank, so we're going to murder you." I'd be like, I'm not part of that tribe of the Jews." Anyways, he was arrested without incident when he arrived. But he was not without boner. I hope he got to make love to his girl. Did they have a good love session before they arrested this poor fellow and threw him back in jail? He's like, "Listen, officer." Do you think he talks nice to the cops? Probably not. He's probably like, "Fuck you, pig. I'm gonna fuck." And then they just like tased him real quick and then handcuffed him, brought him back to jail with you, trashy boy. Our next story comes from... Actually, I haven't been telling you where they come from until they happen. Let's just read this. Man buys every other seat in movie theater. This isn't so much illegal as it is completely dickish, but a Shanghai man, only known as UP, bought out every other seat in a local theater for a Valentine's Day showing of Beijing Love Story. Allegedly, UP's girlfriend broke up with him a year before the event, and in an online forum he wrote, "Want to see a movie on Valentine's Day? Sorry, you'll have to see it separately." That is a hilarious crime news story. That is about a dude being a dick, and no one's really hurt in that, and, you know, the theater got their money. Commerce still happened. Some people didn't get to see Beijing Love Story, fucking CRiiiME River, right? Rent it on Blu-ray or iTunes TV, right? You know, iTunes, the thing that still hasn't approved Fantasy House yet. I hope they do. I hope they do. I hope they do. I hope they do. Woman beats up boyfriend for not buying her a V-Day gift. Good Lord. Thank God I didn't date her. I'd have my ass kicked every freaking couple of years. You know, I buy gifts, but just every other year to make her really, you know, keep her guessing. Henry Brown learned the hard way that he should always buy a gift after discovering he hadn't gotten her anything. His girlfriend, probably now his ex-girlfriend, beat him up. He managed to lock himself in his bedroom, but that only worked temporarily as she tried to cut through the door and stab him. When the police finally showed up and arrested Brown's girlfriend, she was charged with aggravated menacing. Isn't that attempted murder? Double standards. The pendulum swings. Now women get away with it. In the old days, men used to get away with being brutal to women. Now it's like, okay, it's your turn. I'll be the submissive. You can be brutal to me. Men have been assholes for long enough, right? No, we need an even playing field. Everyone treat everyone with respect right now, or you all go on timeout. Our next story, woman smashes ex's new squeeze car to celebrate V-Day. Oh, it's a Hyundai. So they're not even doing that well, and then you smash that up. Ugh, guys. You know, it's one thing when you smash up the guy with the BMW or the Mercedes C-Class or whatever it is, or E-Class or S-Class, whichever the really, really nice one is. That's one thing. Okay? But you smashed in a Hyundai. It's hard enough. Oh, it has Arizona plates. You guys know Arizona is the kind of like the western desert version of Florida. Gianna Frongilio had one heck of a Valentine's Day evening in 2015 when she paid a visit to her ex-boyfriend's new girlfriend's car. When the police reported that Frongilio, that's a really fun name for someone that smashes windows of ex-boyfriends. You know what I'm saying? When reported that Frongilio started out by slashing the car's tires and keying the car, but the cherry on top was when she threw a rock through the back window. I don't know if that's the cherry on top. She slashed 4 tires. It's cheaper to replace the rear window than to replace 4 tires. But hey, I didn't write the article. At this point, I don't know if anyone did. Okay. Lonely Canadian man goes on Valentine's Day crime spree. In 2015, Anthony W. Pitts ventured across Sarnia, Ontario, not Ontario, California, Ontario, Canada, stealing backpacks full of goods, including a giant bottle of rum. He received a 60-day jail sentence and 2 years of probation. If only he's had a date that night, he probably would have been stealing hearts instead of cheap goods. I didn't write this, folks, and I'm ashamed that I read that. Oh my gosh, guys, I really hope you had a great Valentine's Day. That was so much fun reading those stories for you. I love you guys. Crime listeners are the best. Thank you, T-Girl Teresa. Thank you, Deanne, Ben, and Alicia Hodges, Janelle, Linda, and Anna Teresa, and Katie Marie, Bruce, and Zoya, and Emily, and Sam Martinez, and Mark Mendez, and all the Pauls. We got a lot of Pauls that listen to us. And our newest friend of the show, Claire from Heart Handmade UK. You're the best. Crime kisses to you all. 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 Sorry, Mom. Guys, be silly, have fun, have a great day out there. Show a lot of love. Hey, it's the day after Valentine's Day, but you can keep celebrating. Just keep showing love.